wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is a statement to appreciate all that is vacant. It's just for the taking. If you make up your mind, you can take it. I'm never complacent. I would work in a mansion or basement, yeah. There's no replacement for persistence, it's a patience, yeah. In this life, I wanna be soaring, to feel sun inside when it's pouring. And I'll fight till anxiety is foreign. I'm so sick of my mind's extortion. My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, my whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is a statement to appreciate all that is vacant. It's just for the taking. If you make up your mind, you can take it. I'm never complacent. I would work in a mansion or basement, yeah. There's no replacement for persistence, it's a patience, yeah. In this life, I wanna be soaring, to feel sun inside when it's pouring. And I'll fight till anxiety is foreign. I'm so sick of my mind's extortion. My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. I had a little bit of difficulty there with the microphone, but we are back up and running now. So I do apologize for that. It's been a crazy couple of days, couple of weeks really. So trying to get everything back in order here. So we got a big day here at Foul Pole to Foul Pole. I probably should change the date, huh? So what what I'm looking to do today is kind of recap kind of what's been going on, and then from there, you know, we're going to talk about the Jocelyn Alo trade, what that kind of means to the game. We're going to get into that, and we're going to look into some of the professional stuff that's kind of happening behind the scenes that not a whole lot of people know about unless you're in certain circles. And and that's a good thing. So things are happening behind the scenes, and some other things are happening, and we're able to see those right out in the forefront. So, welcome in again. I'm glad you guys are here to kind of take part in the stream. A lot of this stuff will be put over into the into podcast form. As well. So some of the big stuff that we do talk about, we'll make sure that we get those over into the podcast form. Make sure everybody kind of gets that information out there. So it's been a crazy week, like I was saying. This past weekend, my older daughters were playing in Tiger River in Spartanburg. The rain got us. We kind of knew it was coming, but we didn't know how bad it was going to be. There was some games. We had a late start. I think our first game was around 1 o'clock, and there was some other teams, of course, that were playing beforehand. But you could tell the rain was coming. It was like dew all day, raining, storms coming and going. So we got one game in, and actually, a matter of fact, if you follow me on Facebook, I don't think I tweeted it out, but there was a picture. My youngest daughter was on first, and my oldest daughter was up to bat, and you could just the picture, you could see field conditions were sloppy, field conditions were bad. They were terrible, to say the least. So we got that game done, and then right after that game, we had noticed that all the other fields were already done. So we stopped for a little while, and then it wasn't long after that they had called it and said, hey, we're going to try to come back in and get it done tomorrow. But the fields at that point were trashed. They were they were terrible, and I feel bad for the grounds crew that worked to get the fields right, and then they just see us tearing them up. And at what point do the tournament directors make the call? I mean, they're trying to get the games in, and there's a lot of money that people are traveling from all over, hotels. It's a 2-day, so there's just a lot of logistics that goes into it, and so it makes it tough. It makes it you got to make that right decision, and a lot of times there really isn't a right decision to be made. It's hard to bring everything in and make everybody happy. So it was going to be a good tournament. There was a lot of talented teams there from all over. So we're looking forward to it. But, it happens. So this week we're looking ahead. There's a Triple Crown showcase here at Myrtle. Again, a lot of good teams from all over are coming there. It's kind of wrapping up the season. There's supposed to be a camp along with this on Friday. And then, of course, just the showcase games. I think it's a 5-game guarantee. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to get the team back out there on the field, make some stuff happen, kind of get these girls some exposure and kind of get some reps in before the season winds down. My daughter's teams, their last tournament is next weekend. So we got this weekend and next, and then we kind of shut it down. We do that recovery. We kind of get things in order. And then we, at this point with my daughters, we're going to do a couple of weeks of just put the ball down, put the bat down, and not really, think too much about it. not really put too much into it, and kind of just let the brain relax. There's been a lot of pressure this year. There's just it's tough on them. So we kind of we're just going to let them relax a little bit with that, and then we're going to get back into it probably early January. Revisit the goals that we've had. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to some downtime. Looking forward to these last couple of tournaments that we have coming up this weekend. So looking forward to that. Getting into it this morning, last week we had some big news. A couple of big items dropped, and I didn't really have a chance to get into it, but I did want to kind of revisit this and kind of give my 2 cents on it, which my 2 cents, whatever it's worth. So Jocelyn Alo, of course, finished her season last year with Oklahoma Sooners. Just had a awesome career, standout career, big time impact on the sport. I brought a lot of eyeballs to the game that maybe weren't there before. Looking at the long ball, just her personality, Oklahoma in general, the national championship. It just a lot of good things coming. So she was drafted by the Vipers in the women's professional Fastpitch. And we got word this past week that she had been traded to the team out of Oklahoma City, which, that's kind of her home away from home, if you will. OKC Spark, it's right where she needs to be, in my opinion. With the Smash It Sports Vipers, she was drafted there last year in this past season's draft. So her rookie season, she did well in her professional debut. I mean, she did what she does. She hits home runs. She has a good on base percentage. Her slugging percentage is great. And in June this year, she'll be playing with the Spark. The Spark got some draft picks and some cash consideration. So just like you would imagine, just like you would see with whatever professional sport. I mean, it has to make sense on both parties. So OKC gets Jocelyn, and the Vipers, they get some draft picks out of it. So it's big time. Also, what dropped this past week was there's going to be a Dallas franchise. Of course, I think we knew that, but MLB legend Brandon Phillips has become the owner of that Dallas franchise. Brandon played a lot in Major League Baseball. He played. He had a pretty long career. He started playing with the Indians back in 2002. One of the best second basemen in baseball. He ended up getting over with the Reds. He had 4 Gold Gloves, a Silver Slugger Award, and he was selected to the All-Star game 3 different times with the National League. So had a great career in baseball. And for me, having that baseball impact into softball is huge. And it just brings those eyes over there. It shows that, hey, baseball players, coaches, managers, assistants, whatever, getting into the softball world. I think that's what it's going to take for the game to grow even more. So kudos to Brandon Phillips and his crew, his team, his circle for jumping out there and becoming the sole owner of the Dallas franchise. This is big. I'm going to try to get Brandon on an episode of the podcast and kind of pick his brain about his career and then kind of what led him into this ownership of the Dallas franchise. So looking forward to that. It's going to be I think it's going to be big. He's going to bring a lot of eyes to it. It's going to be awesome. With the impact, it seems like every year the game gets more and more popular. I think we kind of feed off of last year. We're looking at great pitching matchups, or the Women's College World Series is always popular with ESPN. They do a great job with putting a lot of focus on the sport. These other networks like the ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12, the Pac-12, just these conferences have their networks and they play their games. They'll replay their games And you got a lot of your high school seasons are the season is kind of mirrored, and early on in the travel ball season when everything's getting just the game, it's hugely popular in a lot of pockets throughout the country. And I think the more and more teams we get in the professional side of it is going to start growing a fan base. And I talked about this before, and I was actually talking this weekend with a couple of my buddies about the popularity of this sport and the fans. And we're inherently excited about the sport because our daughters play it, and we watch it, we pay attention. It's just like whatever sport they were going to play. So with, let's say, the popularity of the National Football League, young kids want to go out there and throw the ball around and be like Odell Beckham or be like Allen or name them, Tyrann Mathieu. Just name your athletes. Well, these girls, they want to be like Jocelyn, or they want to be like Jenny Finch or Monica Abbott or Sis Bates. So they see that, and they want to be them. They want to play their positions. They want to hit like them. They want to swing like them. They want to pitch like them. They want to do whatever they're doing. And now with Athletes Unlimited, we're able to kind of see these athletes more and more. And it's more, it is a team sport. Don't get me wrong. I mean, softball is a team sport, but there's a big emphasis put on that individual effort with the point system and how that works with the draft each week. And, I would love to know more about Athletes Unlimited. I would like to get into it more and figure out why it's wildly popular and, how they're continuing to grow the game with Athletes Unlimited. But for me, and I don't speak for anybody else, but for me, I want to have that jersey and know that player's going to be there. And for my daughters, it's, they watch some of the athletes that are in the Athletes Unlimited, and then the next week their jersey color changes or their team changes or they're the captain or they're no longer the captain. But what we have with the women's professional Fastpitch is actual teams in cities, and we have this this sense of town, the sense of community. We have multiple players with that we grew up watching, and maybe we grew up in Florida and we were watching player X, and we grew up in Texas and we were watching player Z. But then now we have this fan base that grows across the country. And Mike Zimmer, who runs probably the biggest coaching tips page on Facebook as far as softball is concerned, he had a great idea. And I've thought about this more and more about these big time softball organizations. Some of these bigger ones, these national level organizations, have teams from all over. Man, what if they were to get involved with professional softball? How would that look? How would that work? And just in Southern California, that's the base of the Firecrackers. Well, what if they were to have a SoCal or an LA Firecrackers, and it was a professional team? So you have this base of firecracker teams throughout the country that have players and coaches and fans and parents and everything that goes on. They're just going to be fans of that professional team. So they're going to be buying the gear. They're going to be going to the games. They're going to be supporting. They're going to be, on their social media pages being influenced by these athletes and stuff. And then you have like Texas Glory or the Bat Busters or Finesse or just Stars, like all these teams that are throughout. You got the Mustangs in Florida. You got, so they have this regional fan quality, this regional fan base, if you will, that could really help grow and get that revenue, because that's what it comes down to, right? We need fans to buy merchandise. We need fans to buy the tickets. We need fans to have their butts in the seats. We need fans to be interact and help grow the team, right? I mean, that's what it is. So if you look at the baseball model, how it was regional based, and then we can take that and kind of, is there something we can do with the big time organizations? Is there something there? I mean, that's something to look at. I think Mike was really onto something, and it's definitely got me, intrigued to kind of ask these questions and what can we do? And Laura's doing a great job. LC is doing, she's got this thing rolling, and she's trying to grow a legitimate fast pitch league that can sustain and grow. And she knows it comes down to money. It comes down to TV deals. It comes down to a lot of that kind of stuff. So when you have a superstar player that's in the news and she's up and coming because she's popular from the college game, like Jocelyn is, and she's in the news. She got traded. She's back in that hometown of Oklahoma. Well, not her hometown, but where she played her college ball. So there's a huge fan base there for her. When you're talking about popularity, there's I don't know if there's any that's more popular right now than Jocelyn Alo is in the game. So there's the home run ball. It's all about hitting home runs now, and she's a home run queen. So her stock is super high right now, and it's great. I love seeing it. I love watching the game, and the long ball is wildly popular. It makes the game fun. It can change the game on a dime. So you couple that with Brandon Phillips, now former baseball player. Now he's the current owner of the franchise out of Dallas. That's huge. That's that crossover. I think that the softball sport needs to take that next step. I think the speed of the game, I think how quick the games are over with. I mean, you're talking an hour and a half, 2 hours. And there's going to be some TV time delay with the commercials. They got to get certain things in there. But the speed of the game, it's great. So now you have this influence from a former player that's now baseball that's able to grow it a little bit from his side. And maybe that attracts some other players, some former players, to get involved. Maybe it's an invest in a team, become a co-owner, or do whatever it takes to start up another team somewhere else. Maybe a team out of California, or another one in Florida, or somewhere else that's wildly popular. The sport is wildly popular, and we can go back and look at just on a map. You can go to look at the alliance and look at the teams that travel and to play competition. They you're looking at regional teams, or you're looking at national level teams that will leave, say, Tennessee and go play in Indiana, or go play in Texas, or go play in California. So it's wildly popular for those organizations. So we put a team there, a pro team there somehow, however that looks. I'm not smart enough to do it. I'm not smart enough to be an owner. I can't. I don't have the money. But talk to the powers that be and figure out, okay, what can we do to get a team here? Do we have the facilities? Do we have the fan base? Do we have something we can do right here? And that's what it boils down to, honestly. It goes back to, is there somewhere we can play? You know what I'm saying? Is there something we can? Is there a facility here? Is there hotels around? What are we doing when other teams come in and travel here? What's the stadium look like? What's the arena? What can we do here? What's the skin going to look like? What's the TV? What's the eyes from the TV going to look like? There's a lot that goes into it. I mean, the sport can continue to get popular, and it's going to continue to grow. And then eventually these questions have to be answered. And somebody's going to want to answer these questions. At the end of the day, it comes down to money. And there's money to be made in the game of softball. We got to have somewhere for these college stars, these high school stars, college stars, to go somewhere and play this game professionally. They've put their entire lives into it. And I think just with like other sports, they've got to have somewhere to go. You look at some of these big time Power 5 schools that can get involved and somehow, some way use their stadium, or there's different avenues here. And I'm just spitballing at this point. I'm just rambling, but I think it's the sport is too popular for it to be not something that's professionally mainstream. I mean, the college game is great mainstream, but let's get this thing out there. I look forward to seeing what Brandon does in Dallas. I think it's huge impact in the state of Texas. The sport is crazy popular down there. Tons of fans. You're going to get a lot of people involved with it. I know just from talking to the people that I talk to around here, the Wilmington, the Myrtle Beach area, we could do a team out here. I'm telling you, there is plenty of travel. There's plenty of tourists. The Pelicans play right here, so there is a stadium for them to play. It's big enough. Everybody loves Myrtle Beach. So that's just, I'm sure anybody right now listening and watching this can say, hey, I wonder if one could work here in our town, or I wonder if one can work there in my town. It could. So I think within the next couple of years, we're really going to get into something, and the sports even is going to blow up even more. And I'm looking forward to it. It's for me, having this generation of athletes, where my daughters are such a close age to that generation of athletes, and kind of be on this end of the growth. Like it's the sport is big, it's popular, a lot of girls playing it, there's a lot of eyes on it, and my daughters are young enough, they're youth athletes in it, and being able to experience the growth and play within that growth, and hopefully at some point maybe they become professional athletes in it, or they become coaches, or they stay within the sport. It completely up to them, of course, but just being able to experience it, and they can look back on it and go, man, do you remember when we were playing back early in the 2000s or the 2010s when we first picked it up, and see the growth. Imagine in 2040 what it's going to look like. So I hope that the passion for the sport continues to grow, because that's what it is for me. It's passion. So kudos, congratulations to Oklahoma City Spark getting Jocelyn in the trade. Looking at the Vipers to draft, make their team good, use the picks, use the money to make their team better. I think it all helps the game. And then big time shout out to Brandon Phillips. Man, if you're watching this, please hit me up. If you guys are watching this, tell Brandon he needs to come on the podcast. I want to talk to him about it and get his thoughts on everything. I will reach out to him and try to have him on the podcast future. I can't wait for that, if that is to happen. So looking forward to that. So with the popularity of the sport, we got to take a look at what's that doing to our youth athletes. How are they keeping up with all their academics and keeping up with other sports and stuff. So as we get into the big three, I want to take a look at some of just some of the stuff, some of the things that I've been talking about with athletes, and asking them, talking to them, and parents that I talk to that I have lessons with, or mentor, just kind of talking to them, and I want to put this out for everybody in this week's or this episode's the big three. So we'll get into that, and we'll talk about that. I want to get your opinion as well. So, leave a comment. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel yet, and you're just here for the first time, please do so. Hit that subscribe button. There's always information coming out. I'm kind of wrapping up a few things on the outside of Black Diamond Softball, and next year's going to be huge for us. So we're going to continue doing this big three stuff, and I'm starting to be able to focus mainly on what I'm doing here. So I always have this in mind. If you haven't yet gone over to the audio side of the podcast, there's that. It's out there as well. It's on iHeart. It's on iTunes. The big three stuff is out there. I've been asked to do more. I kind of just put them out there and just let them do whatever they're going to do. Let people hear them. I don't really. It's out there. I don't really promote it that much. It's just if people want to hear it, they can find it. So more and more people are telling me, hey man, you got to put this stuff out there. I've been asked, do I do any camps or clinics or do any speaking engagements? And I do. It's gotten bigger, and it all comes down to time. And with time, I have a family, a wife, 3 kids. There's a lot of stuff going on in my life right now, but I'm getting everything squared away for the new year. to where everything is going to be full steam ahead. There's going to be speaking engagements. There's going to be camps and clinics that I'm involved in, where I'm just a guest speaker on that. And then there's going to be some Black Diamond softball and fitness camps and clinics. Those dates will be released early next year. So everything is done because of you guys, all the support. So I appreciate it, and I have a passion for it. So try to get as much information as I can out there to you guys. So what I want to get into now on this episode, or this edition of the Big Three, is it's getting watered down. The quantity seems to be more of a focal point than quality, and we'll get into that. So what I mean is, right now the focus is quantity over quality. There are way too many tournaments every weekend. I would say in the majority of the cities and the towns that are around. Okay. And where I'm going with that is, you'll have one sanction, one tournament provider, one business that puts on tournaments, whether it's something local, and you'll look and go, okay, well, do you want to play in Conway this weekend? Do you want to play in Loris this weekend? Do you want to play in Myrtle this weekend? There'll be one, we'll just call it XYZ. XYZ has a tournament in 4 locations, all within 50 miles of each other. And each one of those tournament locations will have 4 and 5 teams. And it's the same teams that continue to play over and over. Is there a place for that? Absolutely. That's that traveling rec that is out there. And it's great. It helps develop the game. It helps develop athletes. But at what point does it become watered down to where parents, players, and coaches are tired of seeing the same teams over and over? And it may not happen at the same time. So that could be one reason that we're not getting the turnout and not having these bigger tournaments and getting more competition in one area. When you play the same teams over and over, they become like friendlies, which you can do those friendlies by, at your practice facility, renting your fields like you normally do, or maybe you don't even rent your fields. Maybe you just have them and say, hey, I've got 2 other teams that want to get together. It'll be 4 of us. We can do a round robin this weekend, and we'll have umpires out there. We'll pay them X amount of dollars, instead of going to these tournaments and winning these plastic rings and plastic medals. So what emphasis are we putting on that? So you'll see coaches and stuff and say, it's not about winning championships. It's not about this. It's about developing. But all you do is play tournaments every weekend, and they're the same ones, same local. It's right for some. It's not right for everybody. For me, I say practice more, play less. And 2 tournaments a month is good. Some months you're only going to play 1. There'll be some months where you play 3. But if we're just developing, and our emphasis on the development part of the game is from playing tournaments only, you're not really developing, because you're not able to see something and then work on it the following week, or hammer that home. You get used to playing the same team over and over. You get used to their tendencies and what works for you against that team. And we have that time period of where we're not really getting better as athletes or better as softball players. We've gotten better at playing against this team or that team. So I for me, that's not my way of doing it. It could be for some, cool, but I just want to put the thought out there. Instead of playing back-to-back weekends, what if you were to save that money? Because tournaments are expensive. Even if they're like local right around the corner, you're talking $300-$400 to play the exact same teams you just played last weekend at a different city 20 miles away. So at some point, that leads into that burnout, and that's the next topic of the Big Three today. But before I get to that, it's just try it. Just, we're at the end of this season and we're scheduling up for next season. And if COVID taught us anything, it's you need to go ahead and get these big tournaments scheduled up so you can get into them, you can get them paid for, you can get your spot locked in, and all that good stuff. So now's the time. I mean, we're talking early part of November here. We're looking at when are we getting cranked back up? When are we starting? When's our tryouts? When's school ball going to be over with? We're looking at the school ball schedule for the spring. When am I going to have my athletes back? When can we, spend a couple weeks together getting tuned up here? Because right around the corner is those big tournaments, those big national level tournaments. And if you're looking at 14, 16, and 18 girls, they're looking at getting scouted. They're looking at get recruiting. And if you're one of those teams that puts it out there like you're a showcase team, but you don't go to showcase your athletes, or you have no idea what that even means, it's like, well, we're going to be playing in showcases. Well, listen, not all showcases are the same. This time of year, if say there's a camp involved, and these tournament directors are putting it out there that they're going to have college coaches out there, they're going to have college coaches on the field, this, that, and the other. Make sure that's the case, because they could just be telling you that so that you do pay it and you don't end up talking to anybody. You don't know how to let them know that you're going to be there. This is my schedule. This is the field I'm going to be on. I've got, this age, whatever your age is, however you go about it. Like I got a couple of 25s if they're looking at 25s. I got a couple of 24s if they're looking at 24s. If you're going out there expecting these D1 schools to be there and they're not there, and parents don't know for whatever reason, they don't have any idea, then it's like, what are you doing out there? Do your research, coaches. Find out exactly what's going on there. Talk to these coaches. Build a relationship with these coaches. And it can be D2, D3, D1. It doesn't matter, but make sure whatever you're selling is the actual good that you have. And a lot of times that's just not the case. There's way too many teams that are out there, and there's way too many tournaments every weekend. If you go just in my area, there's two prominent organizations that are host tournaments. And if you look at it, it's the same teams in different towns. They'll be and I get it. It's a money maker, because if people are going to do it, people are going to pay for it. They want to be able to post it on social media. We do it all the time. You'll see it, and now it's gotten to the point now where they're one-day tournaments, but they're broken into gold, silver, bronze brackets, and I've even seen gold, silver, bronze, and copper. So it's all about that winning. It's not about developing. And so there's a huge disconnect that I see, and that's a whole different tangent that I can get into about the first ones that say we don't chase championships are the first ones that will post on their social media USSSA Battle in the Pines champions. Well, they went 2-2 on the weekend. They lost their two pool games, dropped down to the lowest bronze bracket, and then won their two bracket games and won the championship, or won that championship, won that trophy. And to me, it's gotten to the point now where I can't stand to see it anymore. It's like, I don't know why. I don't know why it gets under my skin like it does. It's crazy, but it's out there. The travel name used to mean that. There wasn't a whole lot of travel out there. And I get that rec is dying and girls want to play, and I'm all for that. But you're not going to jump out there and play and take away from these girls when we sell them a bill of goods, and it's not really what it is. Because I can guarantee you there's a higher level right around you that you're just blind to, because you're so used to seeing those same exact teams that you see over and over in that same area. And you don't have to travel far. Just when you go to pick your tournaments and look at your tournaments and the ones that are a couple of weeks out, and it's not something that you have to schedule really far out like we were talking about earlier, go look and find a tournament that you've never heard of these teams. Find a tournament that you've never played in that city. Find a tournament across state lines. Just travel just a little bit. You don't have to go very far. Or get into a tournament that's in your local area that draws in other teams. Stop being afraid of losing. Stop being afraid of getting beat. Stop being afraid of not winning that ring. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You could, even on the national level, 16U and 18U national championships, whether it's the PGF, whether it's Triple Crown tournaments, whether it's Alliance, at the end of the day, it's about that competition and growing from that competition. No one cares about this ring or this medal or this whatever, in a couple of weeks. So just my 2 cents on it is, and I'll wrap this part up right here, is we put too much emphasis on these 4 and 5 team tournaments where you just played those exact same teams last week. And the crazy thing is, now you got guest playing that's just run rampant, and these tournament directors are saying we can't do anything about guest playing. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can make them solidify their roster, and that's it. We would rather pick up guest players, go play in a 4-team tournament, and win a medal, and act like we won that medal because we busted our butts and worked our butts off and got to this point. You didn't. You didn't. You kept playing the same teams until you finally beat them. You brought in a guest player that would last week pitched against you, and now she's pitching for you, and she was able to shut that team down and gave you a better chance to win. You didn't develop your players. You didn't do anything for them. But it makes it all better because we win. That's our society. That's how we are. But we got to do better. We got to do better as parents. We got to do better as leaders. We got to do better as coaches. Stop worrying about these plastic trophies and start worrying about developing our players down the road. Don't play as many tournaments. Get friendlies, get scrimmages, get together, make them legit. Build some camaraderie versus I just went to an 8-team tournament and they broke the 8 teams into 2 brackets. So now there's 2 winners and 2 runners up. So half the people there get this medal and they can tout it like it's the greatest thing ever. It's silly at this point. Anyway, so on to the next part of the big 3. Sorry about that. On to my next part with the big 3. Listen, burnout is real. Burnout happens whether you're playing, whether you're coaching, whether you're a parent, whether you're an assistant, whether you're an umpire, whether you're a tournament director. Burnout happens in life. So how do we avoid that? How do we get away from burning out when it comes to softball? Softball's supposed to be fun. Softball's supposed to be great. That's why we do it. That's why we're so involved in it. That's why we spend so much money on it, right? But what do we do when we're burned out? What do we do when we start feeling like, I don't want to go to the ball field anymore? What if our kids come to us and say, do we have to go to practice? What if our kids say, all we do on the weekends is softball? And it may not happen for all. It happens to some. It might come and go. Those feelings might come and go. I get it. So how do we avoid that? Open dialogue with our guardians, between our athletes and our parents or our grandparents or our aunts, our uncles, our sisters, our siblings. Somebody. Open dialogue. Look for those cues. Do they don't seem like they want to practice as much? Are they beat down a little bit? Are we looking at injuries on the inside and the outside? What does that mean? Right? It could mean nothing. Of course, they're just tired today, or it could mean like every single weekend for the last 30 weekends, we've done something softball related. I don't care how much you love something, you need a break from it. You don't know how much you love something until it's taken away from you, right? That same mentality. Well, if you go 30 weekends, whether it was playing in a tournament or practicing, at some point, it's going to break. The parent is going to break them. The coach is going to break them. The player is going to break them at some point. So identifying these early signs of burnout. You do it at work. You get tired of going to work. Like, oh my God, it's the same thing every single time. I need a break. That's why we take vacations. That's why we take days off. That's why we might change jobs. That might be why we look for a new position within the company. So think about that on the kids level. I got burned out when I played years ago. When I played baseball years ago, for 2 years, it seemed like all I did was either practice during the week and play. Practice during the week, games during the week, tournaments on the weekends, and the season just kept rolling over. And then there'd be like one season off, and then there'd be another sport. So at some point, I was just like, you know what? I don't want to play baseball anymore. I think I've been told that baseball was my best sport when I was a youth athlete. I just got burned out. I stopped playing it. I did other things. I played basketball, I played football, I wrestled. And eventually, like, I kind of just got down to where I wanted an off season. So I stopped. I think I stopped playing basketball first. Stopped playing baseball, and I stopped playing basketball, and then I stopped playing football. And then when I got to middle school, all I did was wrestle. That was it. And I wrestled throughout. But there was some downtime. It was time for me to be a kid. It was time for me to go do other things. It was time for me to go get into trouble, to grow up, to do something, a little bit less structured, so that discipline and structure from the sports and the coaches and the athletes actually hit home. And I see it now with this sports specialization so early. I mean, you got girls that are doing softball 11, 12 months out of the year. So if they start this, when they start playing 10U or even 8U, good gracious, if they start when they're 8 years old and they play softball 9 months out of the year, 3/4 of the year they play softball. They got a ball in their hand, a glove on their other hand, and it's either pitching lessons, it's hitting lessons, it's fielding work, and it's constant. Yeah, they're going to be great. Or maybe they won't. Yeah, they're going to love the game. Or maybe they won't. So how do we identify this? How do we have this conversation with our athlete? How do we let them lead this conversation so that we get some of the truth out of it? And how can we read between the lines? Well, when we're talking to our athletes, let's try to avoid softball being the leading topic of our discussion. Take it from me, my oldest one. She went to my wife and said, every time I talk to Daddy, it's something about softball. The first time I was told that from the wife, I didn't heed the warning, right? So this went on for a little bit. I don't know how long, actually. I couldn't tell you if it was a month or a couple of months or a week or a couple of weeks. But eventually it got to me where it got brought to my attention, and I realized that every conversation that I was having with my oldest daughter was about softball. We didn't talk about hardly anything else. She would come in from school. We would talk about going out in the yard. We'd talk about going to pitching lessons. We'd talk about going to hitting lessons. We'd talk about going and getting some fielding work. We would talk about something, and it was related to softball. I would talk to her about a drill. I would talk to her about body language. I would talk to her about attitude. I would talk to her about anything surrounding the game, a highlight that I saw, something. And what I didn't realize was it was making her not want to be involved with the game, because she wanted a relationship with her dad, and she also wanted to play softball. But she didn't want the two to merge, and they became just one. Wanted to be able to cut it on and cut it off, cut it on and cut it off, right? So at times that's all we do talk about, because it could be a tournament coming up or a camp coming up or a big moment or the school ball season. So it's just, but what I try to do is I don't lead with it unless I feel that's where we're at. You got to feel out the situation. But in the conversation stuff, I want her to talk about school. I want her to talk about different things. So one way you can avoid burnout is to have that open dialogue, have that open conversation with them about something else, and let them kind of lead you into that conversation, so that it doesn't feel like even the conversation with mom and dad is about softball, because they need a little bit of an outlet. So that we need to give them outlets for their brains to kind of go somewhere else. At school, they're not talking about it. They have something on their brain, their friends or whatever. But when they have, at practice, it's softball. Tournaments, it's softball. Pitching lessons, it's softball. Batting lessons, it's softball. They're hit with so much softball that eventually they're going to burn out. They're going to go, man, that's all we do. So let's have our relationship not be the main focal point is softball. Give them that outlet. Let's help them have something other than softball to focus on, put some energy towards, so they don't feel like it's a drag. They feel like it's a drain. So that's for the athlete, what we're doing for our athlete to kind of help with burnout. But what if they come to you and they do tell you, hey, man, can we take a couple of weekends off? You know, the hard ass in you is going to say, no, you know, so-and-so's practicing, so-and-so's, what are you going to do about these other ones that don't take time off? Well, we're not everybody else. Not everybody's the same. Maybe a weekend away from it on the lake tubing is just what the kid needs. Maybe a weekend of just sitting around the house, not doing anything, being able to be a kid is exactly what they need. So look for the warning signs. They, on their own, they didn't go out there this morning in the garage and hit their bucket of balls, a couple of buckets of balls. They didn't go out there and pitch to their 9 screen, you know, and it's going on for a couple of days where they just taking some time off. Hey, are we good? Yeah, I'm just taking some time off. And tell them, reward them for that, for taking time off. Let them know, hey, it's a good thing. Do your research on it and hit them with, hey, you do need some downtime. Let's take a break. Let's take some time off. You know, if they come to you, you might have that relationship with your daughter, and they come to you and they just tell you straight up, like, hey, Mom, can, you know, this weekend we don't have a tournament planned. I don't want to guest play. I don't want to go watch. Can I have a sleepover? Can we go so-and-so? And go do that. You know, they're pushing you towards a break. Look at those warning signs. And just, you know, do it right now. Do a self-audit. And go, when's the last time we did something outside of softball? When's the last time we did anything? You know? Or make a plan to do something this weekend or next weekend or the weekend after that doesn't involve softball, where we're not putting it out there for softball only. Let's get away from it for a little bit. And granted, we're coming up on that season where there's not a whole lot of softball going on in December and January. Take this time to give them that break. You know, take a couple of weeks off. You know, it's hard to do that mid-season. I get it. And we feel like we have this obligation to be available. You know, we signed up for these tryouts. We went and tried out. We made this team. So whatever the coach says, we got to be available, and it puts a lot of pressure on the parents to make that stuff happen. Puts a lot of pressure on the athletes too. Well, as parents, man, look, how much money are we putting into this? We think we're doing right. We're trying to afford anything and everything we can to help our daughter along, to make them better athletes, to make them better pitchers, better hitters, better players, right? So any camp that pops up, we send them to it. We save money. Christmas gifts, new bats, new gloves, new cleats, new shoes, whatever, right? So we focus. We think that their whole thing is all about softball, and you want to be involved with whatever they're involved in. You want to show interest to make them feel better, to do this, to do that. I get it. I'm a dad. I do it too. But we get burned out. I get burned out as a dad. You know, look at my whole life with my 3 daughters being athletes, with being Black Diamond Softball and Fitness, whether I'm talking about it or I'm doing camps, doing clinics, talking to other coaches, doing podcasts, hosting podcasts, being a guest on podcasts, doing whatever. And my whole life is softball. So I have to get away from it from time to time. You know, I've got a real life too. There is burnout involved with it. And I've learned through the last couple of years of how to avoid that burnout as a coach, as a parent, right? Find joy in other things. You don't look. Yeah, it's going to be gone before you know it. Your playing days, your athletes' playing days, they're going to be gone before you know it. Absolutely, 100%. But if we do it so much right now to where we can't enjoy it, it's not going to be worth anything down the road. We're not going to have that good memory of it. So, parents, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of dedication to it. Make sure you're getting your breaks from it as well. Whatever you got to do, just do a self-audit and call it to attention now. You know, there's no fix-all. There's no like, okay, I'm not burnt out anymore. And it's okay to have that feeling. It's okay to have that feeling that man, all we do is this. And for those ones that do that traveling thing, that travel an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours to practice, and then it's back. That puts a lot of pressure. That's big in the burnout too. It's big. I experience it, right? But it's a time that hour long trip is a time to bond, to talk about different things. You know, that's I try to do that. I'm not the best at it, and a lot of times we're heading to practice, and there's about 2 hours how far we travel for our practices, and it's about an hour and 45 minutes of talking about softball. I try not to, and it's about an hour and 45 minutes back home talking about softball again. So I got to get better at that. And there's parents that travel further. There's parents that they might practice twice a week, and then they go to tournaments and stuff on the weekend, or whatever your situation is. Just do an audit real quick and go, hey, look, am I heading towards a burnout here? You know, like all of us, we don't want the season to end because we love watching our daughters play. I get that, we all do. But man, this break that's coming up for a lot of us, it's it's well deserved. You know what I mean? Hey, take it for what it is. Take that break. It's just like I said in the beginning of this one. You know, if you love something, let it go for a little bit. It'll come back, and you'll rekindle that flame. You know, you don't realize how much you love it until it's taken away from you for a little bit, and maybe you take it away from yourself. I get it. You know, I tell you, I'll give you a quick story. When I was in the Marine Corps, I got stationed, and I was in Al Asad for a little bit, and I wasn't out there on the front lines or anything like that. So don't get it twisted. But I was an ammunition technician at Al Asad for a quick reaction force team. Something would happen, a convoy would get hit, they'd spin up in helos, and they would go do whatever they had to do. That wasn't me. I was just in a unit. I made sure they had everything they needed. So I worked out every day. I became addicted to it. I was on a treadmill. I worked out every single day. I would run when I'd first get to work in the morning at midnight. I would check, make sure everything was good to go. I knew the convoys and stuff would be going out, or that there's different alpha rosters and different things that had to go on. So a lot of secret type information you had to make sure it was pertinent so you could send it up. That was my job. So I'd come in, I'd check, make sure there wasn't no emails or anything going on. And then I'd go to the gym. I'd go run. And I would run for about an hour and a half every single morning. And then about 4 o'clock in the morning, the team, whoever would be coming in, spinning up their trucks, make sure they're good to go. And they'd usually head out different times in the morning, but most of the time it would be between, say, 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock local. They would come in, and I would just be around, whatever they needed, make sure that they were good, their serialized gear was good, their ammo was good, whatever they needed, I'd make sure they're good. Then a buddy of mine, he was the comm guy. He was kind of the over all the radio guys. He would make sure everything was good, and then we would go lift. So I would be running it at midnight, or running about 1 o'clock in the morning until sometimes 2:30, somewhere in there. I'd come in, grab a snack real quick, do my thing with the unit that was there, and then we would go lift, and then I would eat breakfast. I'd come back, make sure everything was good to go, and then before I'd go back to my can that evening or that afternoon, or around noon, I'd go eat. I'd come back, I'd go to sleep, and I would do it. It was like clockwork, and it was just like it was an addiction. It was a straight addiction. I had to work out, and then it became this where I had to hit certain numbers on the treadmill. I had to burn so many calories, or I had to run so far. I had to put so much time on there. So it just kept growing, and eventually, like, I got burned out. It was, at first I stopped. I would still run in the mornings, but I wouldn't lift every day. I was like, all right, we're just gonna take the day off, and eventually I just stopped running. I was like, man, that's all I do. That's all I think about. That's all I do. It was just run. So I say that to say this: no matter how much you love something, or how much you get addicted to something, or how much of a habit you have formed in good things, I'm not talking about the bad stuff. I'm talking about fitness and studying or reading or coloring or watching your favorite show or whatever you do. You can become addicted to it on different level. I mean, you could be maxed out addiction, and I'm not talking about drugs and alcohol. I'm talking about other things. But you can get to that burnout stage, and then all of a sudden you just drop it, and it's gone. Like you just stop it cold turkey. You just don't do it anymore. And I don't want athletes to experience that. I don't want parents to see it happen to their athletes. And I don't want that burnout to cause different things at home to where you're just not happy, or you put so much emphasis on different things. And it's like we're trying to get our happiness from keeping up with the Joneses. Well, so-and-so went to this camp, so we got to go to it. So-and-so's got this hitting instructor, we got to go there. Well, this one, I heard she pitches, 8 days a week. So you just it's all this. You mix it with keeping up with the Joneses, fear of missing out, and then trying to balance everything, trying to do what other people do while you still trying to do what you do. It's a recipe for a burnout. So at this time, where we're at in the year, let's kind of at least do an audit and look at it and put it out there. Put yourself on notice. Don't allow it to get to a certain point. Don't get there. Like, just say, hey, it's out there. Like, the burnout is out there. I get it. What can I do so I make sure I don't get burned out? And you doing that as a parent is going to help your athlete do that. So, that's sort of the big three. It was kind of like a big two today, I guess. It wasn't a big three. It was more of a heavy two. We'll call it a heavy two instead of a big three. It all kind of goes back into just trying to do the best we can as parents, as mentors, as coaches. Each individual is different, and keeping that in mind. How we were as kids is not the same as how our kids are today. We try to think they are, but they're smarter than us. They got a lot different atmosphere, environment, if you will. So, recently I had put out there about filling out the JOT form, and get out there and fill out the information, and we'll get you. We'll kind of do a shout out. So we're going to start the very first one will be today, and then we'll jump in and get a couple more. Maybe Friday, maybe at least next week. I'll try to make it an every Wednesday thing. If I do more, if I have more, I'll if I have the time to get them in, I'll definitely do that as they start rolling in. So what this is basic contact information. It's a form. It's actually linked down below. If you haven't clicked on it, you haven't filled one out yet, please do so. I get those usually about 24-hour turnaround. From the time you fill them out, they get back over to me. All I need is very simple: who you are, I need a contact information so I can talk to you guys about whatever you submit. So whoever submits it, let me get a name, number, and an email, and then pretty much it's self-explanatory straight through. Give me your team name, the age groups, whether it's an organization, let me know the organization, the age groups you have, kind of whatever colors you got, and then where you guys are located at, the sanctions you play. Tell me something cool about it, a favorite memory of yours, kind of what your future plans are, what's happening, what's going on. Are you looking to, if you're an organization, are you looking to expand? If you're a team, are you looking to join an organization? If you're a coach, are you looking to get out of it? Like, just, make it your own. And what do you love most about the game? Now, this is outside of the organization. I just want to kind of get to know the person that kind of submitted the form there. If you could change something about the game, what would it be? It could be anything, man. It could be absolutely anything. And then just kind of let me know how you heard about Black Diamond, because this kind of goes out it's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, it's on Insta, and of course here on the YouTube. And I also mentioned it in the audio podcast as well. So let me know kind of how you heard about Black Diamond, where you found it, what kind of turned you on to Black Diamond. Let me know, how you got there. So you hit that submit button, and it'll come to me, and I'll take a look at it. I'll contact you. I'll let you know, hey, what's good. We'll get you out there. We'll do kind of like a spotlight, kind of like a shout out. And what this does, man, it kind of gets your team or whoever just out there on the forefront a little bit. It kind of, says, hey, look what we're doing. This is big. This kind of helps promote the girls a little bit. Helps promote the coaches, helps promote the organization, what you guys do. So whatever information you want me to have that I can kind of put together like a little spotlight. And that's what I do. That's what I want to do. So not too long ago, I had an assistant coach, a parent of a player, reach out, filled out the form. We've been talking ever since. I actually keep up with his team, his daughter, on Twitter. I watch him on Game Changer. Actually, this weekend when our tournament got canceled and stuff, I was paying attention to a lot of stuff. But when I got back home, I put the live stream up on our TV, and me and the fam were kind of just doing, going around the house doing what we do. And we were watching that game. It was in the background. I was cooking. I was kind of going back and forth, but it was up. So it was cool for me to see that. And then after the game, of course, we spoke about it. We talked about it. So with this, it's Finesse Fastpitch. This is the first shout out that we have. It's Finesse. Now, I'll tell you, the team that reached out, where did they go? Hold on. There we go. So it's the 2023 15U Hoverman from Glass City. This team is legit. They travel around. It's a true national team. They don't do a whole lot of local stuff. It's great to see a team that I'm not used to seeing around from where we're at down here in South Carolina, but I don't think I've ever seen it. I may have, I don't remember. But Aaron Martin reached out and kind of submitted the form for us. And so today's shout out is for Finesse Fastpitch, the Hoverman team. Head coach is Carla, and she has a couple assistant coaches. You got Dan Fisher, Aaron Martin, Rebecca Cottrell, and Matt, her husband. And they've got a pretty stout roster. I was able to watch them this past weekend. It was in Scenic City in the fall showcase. I watched their last game. It was against a Batbusters team. And I was talking to Aaron after the fact, and he said, it's very uncharacteristic of our team, the errors and stuff that they made and this and that. And so that was like his take on it. But for me, an outside looking in, what I was doing was I was just watching those girls just stay in the moment, just knowing, hey, there's another pitch, there's another out, there's another at bat. They just kept grinding, gave themselves a chance to win. And just the communication I've had with Aaron it's the epitome of what finesse is. They're grinders, man. They're going to put themselves in a situation to win. I watched it, myself. Just in the Game Changer. So they do big things. This is kind of just their fall schedule. This is what they did. I mean, you can look at the travel that they do, where they go, and what they're going to be doing. In September, they were in Indiana at the PGF Labor Day Showdown. October, they had a couple big ones, the Finesse Invitational, and we'll get into Finesse as an organization, and I'll kind of show you why the Finesse Invitational is such a big deal. They're also in the Eastern Rawlings Fall Showcase, and then of course they've got Space Coast coming up, and then they're doing the Extra Innings Winter Showcase in January. And they've already, if you take a look here, if you already like them, they've already got their summer schedule, their early part of their summer schedule lined up, ready to go, which is, look at it, man. They're going down into Alabama. They're going to play in the Thunderbolts 5-star. They're already on the schedule for the Colorado Sparkler. They're going to be playing in Ohio at the Stingray Showcase. If you don't know the Ohio Stingrays, check them out. They're pretty cool too. Savvy Softball Elite Summer Showcase. That's in Illinois. And then they're in the Open Nationals from Alliance is of course, the last week of July. So just to kind of recap, these girls, they have intentions of playing college softball. They have the coaches in place. They have the organization in place. This is what it's all about, getting them exposure, getting them playing at the top level competition. If you look at them, they're all 25 grad years except for Morgan Haverman. She's a 26. And I'm telling you right now, once you get to a certain point, it doesn't matter your grad year, it doesn't matter your age. When you're good, you're good. And I'm telling you right now, these girls are good. As an organization, they're tight. They know what they're doing. They've done their research. The heads of the organization have, I'm not going to say it made it easier on the coaches, but have almost laid out a blueprint for the coaches to be themselves and do what they know needs to be done, and to help these girls out to get the exposure that they need. So when you have an organization of this size, and when we're talking, a national level program, that their whole main goal is to get these girls better people, get them to be better athletes, get them the opportunity to showcase their skills in front of these colleges. It's incredible. So we'll take a look at just as a whole, the organization, and kind of show you what it looks like. I mean, this is a legit website. This is if you're a team or a smaller organization and you're looking to kind of get to that next level, get you a good website. You may not be able to hire somebody, you may not have the funds to hire somebody to run a website, but there's websites, the companies and stuff out there that will help you make your like a one-page website and get these girls out there. That's what they want to, colleges want to see. Kind of showcase their accomplishments. So if you look at some of these colleges that girls from Finesse, they played with Finesse, they started with Finesse, they had their career there with Finesse. You look at some of these colleges that these girls have gone to. There's a huge mix. I mean, you're looking anywhere from D1, D2, D3. They go over, and then of course there's girls that don't go play college after the fact. They go and do different things, which is amazing. They have their partners. If you go to YouTube a little bit later on, I'll link this. Everything that I have now will be linked down in the description below after this one go live. So on the VOD channel, we'll get back. I'll show you Finesse. You'll have their link. You'll have their link to their page, so you can go in and do this yourself. I just wanted to kind of give them a shout out, and kind of talking with Coach Martin. He absolutely loves these girls. He loves the teams. He loves the organization. So I wanted to shout out their 2023 commits as an organization. You got Delaney Paulso's going to, I don't know how to say that, her school, Lance Cruz at you got Northwood University. Megan, I'm not going to butcher your last name. She's going to Kent State. You got Becca's going to Kent State. You've got Faith going to Grand Valley State University. Gage Lambert's going to Northwood. Brenna Farmer's going to Ohio. Jenna's going to Toledo. McKenna's going to Purdue University at Fort Wayne. Olivia's going to Ohio Dominican. Madison is going to Ashland. Pensacola State is getting McKenna. You've got Kylie going to Grand Valley State University. You got Megan going to Kent State. Lily's going to Albion. You've got Ella's going to University of Illinois. Peyton is going to Bowling Green State University. Katie's going to Marion. You've got Grace going to University of Michigan at Dearborn. You've got Francesca's going to Dearborn as well. You've got Megan going to Alma. You've got Natalie. Natalie's going to Ferris State. Alexis is going to Detroit. Maddie's also going to Alma. Claire's going to Detroit. Emily is going to Concordia. And Taryn, I hope that's how you say it. Taryn is going to Muskingum University. And then, of course, you have the 2022s. and all the other commits from the previous year. So if you look at this, look at their college commits that Finesse has had as an organization, just since 2011. So you look and you'll see anywhere from D1, D2, D3. Finesse Fastpitch is doing it the right way. They're getting girls to that next level. And it's not just from on the ball field. I mean, as we've learned nowadays, man, we're talking splitting hairs between this recruit and that recruit. So they've got to do something outside. They've got to be a part of the community. They just talking with Coach Martin, there's different levels to it, but there's the social media side of it. Making sure the social media side is clean, making sure they're putting out the right information. They're tagging the right coaches. They're going to camps. They're involved. So it's a whole lifestyle. And if you can, the proof is in the pudding here when you look at Finesse. So that'll be linked down in the chat below. But before we get into that, I do want to talk about their tournaments that they host, and why it's a big deal. So this past year, or just not too long ago, just a couple of weeks ago, they did host the Finesse Invitational. And if you look at these teams that are around, there's a wide range of teams from all over. If you look, you've got Indiana Magic Gold was there. You got, of course, a bunch of Finesse teams over there, but even Mojo was there, Tennessee Mojo teams. You got teams coming up from Miami, or that's Miami Valley, but you got teams coming up from all over that'll go and compete in these type of tournaments. And Finesse puts on a tournament, and it's sort of like a best of the best. Like, hey, we want you to come support our facility, support our area. It's a good tournament. It's good competition. And they put it on, so they host this. And if you've ever hosted a tournament, it takes a lot, and for them to put this kind of stuff on is great. It helps. I'm telling you right now, it helps. It helps not only grow the sport, but it helps kind of put your team on the map, or organization on the map. So if you go back and you look at the state teams, I mean, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you got 18. The state level teams, and then if you look at the regional teams, that there's 20 regional teams, and then on the national level they've got 6. So all in all, you're talking 30-40 teams, something like that, and that's huge. That it's a network. It's resources. It's togetherness. It's a lot of different things that have an organization of this size. And we talk about the coaches that can bounce information off of each other. Within, you might have one that ages up, or she tried out and she can only be at this team for so long, and so she can stay within the organization. You got coaches that are, they're able to play friendly. So just for instance, right here, you've got these regional teams. All these 16U teams and 18U teams can get together on a weekend and play. They can figure out, hey, let's not travel too far. Let's get something that's kind of centrally located, and let's get something together. Or it might only be 2 or 3 teams that are close to each other. So there's 3 or 4 that are in the Motor City, or you look at Glass City and there's a couple. We can get together and we can play. And they can come together. They can have like a finesse day, or whatever. And they can, it's all about camaraderie, all about working together, putting on a clinic together, doing something together, working these friendlies. At the end of the day, it makes me feel good to see organizations that I have never seen before, never heard of before. They're able to reach out to me and say, hey, yeah, we would love for you to shout us out. And I get to see, Finesse Fastpitch and what they do, and I get to follow them. So, and, this weekend watching them on Game Changer and kind of checking them out, and just seeing these girls that I probably will never meet probably will never have any conversations with them, but being able to shout these girls out and say, hey, look, man, you guys are doing great. You're putting in the work. You're in an organization that truly cares about you and wants you to continue to get better. Now, you got some guy that's based in Conway, South Carolina, that hosts a podcast and does a live show, and he's shouting you guys out. So on some level, I hope I can help just by shining some light on these guys. And hopefully, continued success. It's awesome for me to be able to look at just a roster and not know any of these girls who I watched this weekend personally, but I can remember seeing some of these names and go, yeah, I remember a play she made, or I remember, this pitch. It's cool for me. It makes my heart feel good. I'm glad on some level we can talk. I tell you, the relationship that myself and Aaron, Coach Martin, ever since he submitted that form, we've been bouncing information off of each other, been talking about different things. And so it's a cool friendship that we've got. I would love at some point to be able to get up there and either host some type of camp or just talk to the girls or something like that and let them know the impact that they have, not just in their small community, but, across the country. Because them traveling and playing these big time tournaments and stuff, people see them and they want to know, what is Glass City or what is Motor City or what, where are you guys from? I like your colors, this and that. It's one of those things that it makes you feel good that you see it throughout the country, and these girls are doing right, and these girls are. So Coach Halverman, great job. Doing what you guys are doing. You're doing it right, and all the assistant coaches. You got a husband and wife team there that's doing it big, and you've got a big following, and continued success. We'll be watching. So good luck to you guys. All right. So we